Hello, YouTube, and welcome to the In Your Head podcast. I am your host, as always, Jesse, and with me on the couch, my guest today, Paul Smith. Paul, how are you, sir?
Hey,
Some
how you
catch with a
doing?
drink. I'm doing good, sir.
Yeah.
And yourself?
Great.
I am.
Paul Smith, Witness Protection. How you guys doing?
Oh, damn, man! You should have told me. I would have changed the name for you or something. Or
No.
blurred you.
That's already my alias, Jesse, so it's fine. You can call me Paul Smith all you want.
Sounds good to me. It does sound pretty simple because. I know you've talked about that on stage, that you just don't look like a Paul Smith. And
Let's just say I'm rooting for North Korea in the Winter Olympics, all right?
You and maybe two other people, I think. That's about it.
Well, 2 million North Koreans.
They are.
Give or
outside
take.
of North Korea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
give or take 1 million for death camps, whatever,
They don't get cable there.
No.
They aren't watching NBC and the death camps.
They have to black market the Olympics, which is happening 25 kilometers away. That's great.
It's sad but true. Actually, it's that whole situation over there is
It's pretty fucked.
this whole Olympics is confusing as shit.
Yeah, like who cares? Like, I think North Korea and South Korea should have joined like women's hockey. Like, I don't even care about the WNBA. Are you gonna get me to watch women's hockey, bro?
Well,
Like, get out of here.
that was a tough sell, but I'm still confused about. They said the Russians were banned,
Yeah.
but yet there's still Russians.
Yeah.
Have you not seen this?
No.
If you turn on the Olympics, and anybody, well, this is going to be long over. The Olympics are going to be long over by the time this airs. But if you watch the Olympics, you'll see up in the corner where it might say where they're from. You'll just see the Olympic flag, and it'll say OAR, which is Olympic Athletes of Russia. So I think I may have been out of the loop on this one. I may have missed the news article, but I think the Olympic Committee let them come in, just not under the flag of Russia. I don't know. It's got to be something like that because it says right on their shirts, like Olympic athlete from Russia.
If Russia can win the U.S. election, they could do pretty much anything.
They should be good at they should be good at the Olympics.
They could weasel their way into any situation.
I guess, man, it's something. So.
Yeah.
So to start this whole thing off, as I do with all my guests, I ask our statute of initiation,
Okay.
which I bring to everybody, which is to bring a story to me and our guests or viewers that's something that from your past that was questionable. Nothing, we're not talking murder, grand theft, but something that you did that was marginal that you're not proud of.
I didn't know your wife was listening in the back, so we'll skip the rape.
No.
one. So,
Yeah, okay, all right. Let's leave that one out. Yeah, please.
Yeah, that's that was in my prime.
Oh, the prime, right?
60 pounds ago.
Yeah.
No, but so like, all right, the story I got, I was stationed in Korea. I was in the Air Force. Okay. So like, I was a Korean linguist in the Air Force, and I had a bunch of friends that were intelligence analysts, and they couldn't speak Korean. So what I would do is I would like pretty much be like a de facto tour guide for them. I would
Okay, that's nice.
I would act like the intermediary with language and culture, while we just be loud, obnoxious Americans and see where we can push the lines. You know what I mean? So I would often take them out to Seoul or different cities. And on this particular day, we were traveling to Seoul, and we were taking a bus line I've never taken before. And my boy was like, yo, this is the fastest bus to Seoul. Gets us there in an hour. So I was like, great. Because like usually what we do in Korea, because Osan Air Base is like an hour and 2 hours, depending on your mode of transport, to Seoul, we would pregame on that public transport, whether it be a subway, a bus, or whatever. So we would literally take, because they sell soju at the convenience stores there.
Yeah.
And they have combat bottles, which is like a liter bottle like this big. So what we would do is we would buy like a huge Fanta or like juice, and we'll pour out half of it and put soju in the rest, mix it up, drink that shit on the way there to save money because Seoul, booze are pretty expensive.
Like any city, I guess. When you go into any main city, it's gonna jump the price, right?
Dude, it was like proper Seoul. It's like $13 for a shot. You know what I mean? It's fucking insane.
And I don't drink, as my viewers know, but
yeah,
even I know the difference between
that was in 2008 when I was like 180 pounds. You know what I mean?
Yes. Well, it wouldn't have taken you as much to get hammered, at least.
No. Well, actually, I think I had a better tolerance back then. Anyway, we're getting away from the point. So like, we're pre-gaming on this bus. My boy told me the bus takes an hour to get there, right? So I'm going fucking hard as shit because I'm like, I only got like 45 minutes. I'm trying to get lit, right? So I drank like this whole liter thing, half soju, half orange juice, right? And like I'm fucking like really like my face is red. I'm like, yo, I'm ready to go. At the hour mark, I'm like, yo, where the fuck are we right now? And I was looking around. I was like, dude, we're not even anywhere near Seoul. I looked it up. We were on the way to the East Seoul bus station. That's a 2-hour ride.
Oh.
So I mistimed my drinking window. And by the hour 10, hour 15 mark, I had to take a piss. And I was on this bus for another 45 minutes.
And I'm guessing this isn't like a tour bus that has a bathroom.
No, this was a packed bus full of Koreans and like sprinkled GIs in the back. And we were like we were sprinkled about. It was fucking completely packed. It was a winter night, and in Asian countries, like they like silence, so the bus is completely silent.
Oh,
the windows were fogged. It was like this fucking like, it was like this jail of guilt and shame that was on there. Like I had to take a piss, and like I was like I couldn't take it anymore. Like hour 20 went by, hour 30, and I'm like biting my nails. It felt like I was watching Lord of the Rings Part 1 again when I had a large Coke in the movie theater.
Yeah.
And by the time they showed like the first ending, I'm like, yo, I'm gonna piss my pants. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's nothing you can do at that point.
God damn it. I just want Frodo to die just so I could just take a piss. You know what I mean? But
that movie needed an intermission, by the way, but I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Hell yeah, dude. I just watched the extended versions and they're goddamn, they're long. But
yeah, that was a long couple days, I'm sure, as you were watching it.
Yeah. And so on the bus, I was like, fuck it. Like I can't hold this anymore. So I asked my boy for like empty Gatorade bottle. I remember it was like one of those big ones too, like the fat ones, the round ones.
Yeah, the 32s.
Yeah, the 32s.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I had, the whole bus was packed, but luckily I was the only one, because like the whole bus had like 2-seat aisles, and I was the only one with my own 2-seat aisle, because I had like this big ass overnight bag, because I was like this like, you know, metrosexual, like I was a lean, mean, 180 pounds. I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do it for the fashion. But
yeah,
you know, it came handy that day, especially because it blocked like the outside seat. And I pretty much dropped trowel right there in the middle of the bus at night, in like on the way to Seoul, packed with Koreans, maybe like 8 GIs in the back, right, like sprinkled around. I take this bottle and I put my dick in it,
as one has to do when you pee in a bottle.
Yeah, but it was so loud, especially the initial hit of the piss to the bottom of the bottle. Like it was like, it sounded like a waterfall in a cavern. You know what I mean? It just, because like no one, it was completely silent in that bus. So like everyone knew what the fuck was going on. Like I could even smell it, like drunk. You know what I mean? And that's like, and what, like I was pissing the bottle. It made such a loud noise. I heard my friends chuckling like schoolgirls, like, like, because they knew exactly what was going on. So I was piss laughing. I was like, I was trying to stifle it, you know? Oh. I couldn't really stifle it. And this is where I learned a valuable lesson, right? Piss is body temperature, guys. What happened was, I couldn't detect it going up the bottle at all. So it spilled onto everything, onto the seat, onto my pants, onto like my underwear. And I had to like quickly do like a butt pinch maneuver where I was like, oh shit. And then like I got up and capped the bottle, and there was this piss just fucking in my seat, and I had to figure out what I was gonna do. I had the MacGyver situation. So like I took the bottle, and in an angry, salty moment, I just rolled it. So there's like this piss, 32 ounces of piss, just rolled it. I learned 2 valuable lessons that night. One, piss is body temperature. You can't detect it if it hits the tip of your dick. All right, so like you have to visually monitor where the piss is at. 2, the human bladder is fucking huge. It
Bigger than
is-
32 ounces,
Dude,
apparently.
It's huge, bro. It's like I didn't even think I could fill this bottle up. You know what I mean? It just came clean out of me, and so it pisses everywhere. So I literally took off my pants, right? And like all the native Koreans knew what the fuck was going on. My friends knew what the fuck was going on, especially because I was causing a ruckus. Like, yo, I just pissed myself. I was talking to my friends. I was like, I gotta fix the situation and take off my pants, take off my underwear. Luckily, in my overnight bag, I had underwear. I had everything. I had socks, underwear, t-shirts. I had like toothpaste, toothbrush, cologne, deodorant. No extra pants.
Oh shit!
No extra pants. And I was like, how the fuck?
You fucked up, man.
Dude, I fucked up big time. So like in Korean buses, there's like these air vents at every like seat station.
Right, like an airplane.
Yeah, like an airplane.
Right, okay.
Yeah, exactly. So I turned it on high, and I took my piss pants, and I'm like naked, bottom half, right? I'm taking my piss pants, and I'm waving it in the fan, because we had like 20 minutes to go to get to like East Seoul, where we had to like continue to party. So I was like, I need to get my only pants dry from piss. So like I'm waving it in front of the fan, and I was like, this isn't working. So like when I saw the guy in front of me move his head up, I took like his seat cover, because like it has like those old school paper seat covers, like the most non-absorbent fabrics of all time. And I took that, and I was like rubbing
Might as well have been wax paper.
Yeah, dude. And
God.
so like I was trying to rub that shit out of my pants. I was waving it, and I was like 5 minutes before we get to the station, I was like, all right, I gotta fucking get right. I put my pants on. It still felt damp. I was like, fuck, right? So like when we get there, we meet up with like another squad of friends or whatever, and I was like, yo, my friend Lewis, I was like, yo, can you just look at my dick real quick? Just no homo, you know what I mean? And he's like, is there anything? It was like, no. If you don't see anything wrong, everything's good.
Then we're cool, right?
And we're cool. Proceeded to party, but that was definitely a dicey moment in my life.
Wow, there's a lot to be taken from that story.
Yeah.
So the first thing I noticed, which throws me back to an old story of a friend of mine. A friend of mine served overseas in the military, and he served in Korea, and he had a run-in with soju. And so if he sees,
and now he has a kid.
I don't know if he doesn't know about it or anything. No, it probably wouldn't be that bad, because when you hear the rest of the story, you'll know he doesn't. If he sees this, well, then I'm sure he might comment on it. But he was over in Korea, drank soju, probably too much, on a Friday night, woke up Sunday.
Yeah.
Didn't realize he slept through the entire day. And I think I asked you about this stuff because I didn't know how this stuff was.
The thing about soju is that it's 40 proof, so it's 20% alcohol. So it doesn't have a lot of kick, right? And it mixes with anything like a fucking ninja. You know what I mean? Like you can't detect it. It's like it's the perfect Cosby remedy to like a date rape situation.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay.
It's just like you can't taste it. You can mix it with anything. So like I've had a couple of times where I misjudged the soju, and like I literally will wake up like maybe a day before I had duty again, because like I slept for 16 hours, 18 hours.
Yeah, that's what he said he did. He said he went to sleep Friday night, got up Sunday morning,
yeah,
and was like, all right, what are we doing today? And everybody's polishing their boots, getting ready to go. He's like, yo, dude, we're on duty tomorrow. It's Sunday. You missed Saturday. And he didn't believe it, but he's like, yeah, that's what happened.
Oh, the drinking culture is immense over there too.
I mean, what else? I mean, is there much else to do in Korea? Like, what is? I've never been. There's all the talk of it with the Olympics, but
there's okay. The misconception is there's a lot to do, but drinking is a part of the culture in Korea. It's like
you did mention that before.
It's ingrained into society. So like, if you work a normal office job at Samsung, let's say, right,
okay,
you and your team or whatever you work on, you're pretty much obligated to hang out with them after hours and go out. And we call it by rounds, right? So like 1차, 2차, 3차. That's like round 1, round 2, round 3. Round 1 will be like a restaurant. You go out after work, which is like usually a 12 to 14-hour workday in Korea, even in an office setting, right? They just overwork. They go out to a restaurant with their team, And then they go to Icha, second round. It's usually like a bar. Third round, they'll go to like karaoke, which has drinking.
So that
Fourth
is
round,
legit. That's not just a trope that we do. That's
it's not a trope.
Okay.
But karaoke is like different. Like Western karaoke is like you go to a bar and there's a stage and like it's like public, right?
Yeah.
Asian karaoke is private room with just you and your friends that you go with, which I think it's a much more inclusive experience because you can act more goofy because you know these people.
Yeah,
on
you can.
some level.
Yeah, so you can open up.
Yeah,
that's not bad.
It's a lot of fun actually. There's places in Philly we should take comics to, and we should tape something over there. That shit will be fun.
I'm down for that. I would be in for it. So it's the similar thing. They do the private karaoke
they do
rooms.
So
like
you get a room, and you get a room depending on your size. Of the party,
right? If you're 10 people, or if you're 40, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right, I got you. It makes sense. No, that's something. That's I always wondered about that, like what it was really. But I know, like you said, the drinking is just it's hardcore.
It's hardcore. It's ingrained in culture. It's not just like the office settings. It's like everything. So like everyone drinks. It's just what people do. It's not the fact that there's nothing to do. There's a lot to do. Seoul, like not only Seoul, but like I think Busan's my favorite city, which is like the southernmost. It's the second biggest city in Korea. But like, there's so much shit to do. But drinking is always involved. So like, you have to go ready. You don't like you can go and have a good time still. You could sightsee. I know you don't drink, but like, you could you could still have a good time. People will understand, especially nowadays if you don't drink.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would recommend going. But if you do like to drink, if you like party shit, go to Korea, man. Like Korea is so much fun. There's a lot of internationals there, so you don't have to feel excluded. You can find people to hang out with. You know?
Is it easy enough to get by just knowing English?
Yeah. Funny fact: 1988 Olympics were in Seoul, Summer Olympics, and that's when they put English on most public transports. So like the more remote places you won't find, but like Seoul proper, everything will be English. Busan, second big city, everything will be English, like underneath Korean.
Okay.
To accommodate for those Olympics, but it kind of like standardized English as like not a second language, but like for travelers, a lot of English is available. Like English maps, even on the public transports, you can find English.
Yeah, and that always worries me when I go to other places. It's like if I'm gonna go international, I always worry like I am gonna know nothing. I'm gonna be here, and it's like this could be a great place. You could tell me it's amazing, but I'm gonna be like I am lost. I can't speak the language. I'm confused as hell. And
I'm more worried about going to England, like fucking up their language and shit.
Oh well, we butchered it in the first place. To be fair, we tore the English language apart over here in America. We did a handsome job of destroying that language.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, I do like a little bit about proper English. I do enjoy some of the way it's done because I think it's...
You like to call it aluminium?
No, God, no. Fuck that. No, fuck that noise. No, don't add the extra syllables. But just speaking proper. A friend of mine just today, like it's how much we've degenerated. A friend of mine today just sent me a message. He said he ended up talking with a girl. He's just getting back into the dating scene. He ended up talking to this girl who was a lot younger. Didn't even realize when he started talking to her. But text that she was sending, he's like 30, early 30s. She's like early 20s. And he said he had to go online and translate these text messages because it was just degenerating. Like, it's just the language itself degenerates. Yeah. And even if you read Facebook posts or anything like that, it's just not proper language. And people just don't have any proper anything anymore. And it's...
I just turned 36, and I just know that kids are dumb. Like, they listen to shit music. I sound like my dad.
Every generation 90s. Says about the shit music.
Holy crap, dude. Like, it's... But what are they going to say about the music 20 years from now? What are those shit kids growing up with dubstep and trash, like fucking mumble rap? What are they going to say about the golden era of their music?
I wonder what kind of music is going to be in 20 years. That's terrifying. Nothing's gonna go back. I mean, I'm 35. You're 36. I would look back to the good old days of arena rock and hair metal. I mean, that's the stuff you're never gonna see again, for sure. You're never gonna see that shit.
I know. So. Now you got Maroon 5 selling out stadiums. Get the fuck out of here, dude. You need to pour some sugar on females to get hits. You know what I mean?
That's some old time stuff right there, man. That's some old school stuff. So in that story, I think you kind of hit back to a lot of the stuff that I wanted to talk about. You were an Air Force linguist. You were in the Air Force. How long were you in the Air Force?
9 years.
9 years. That's a hell of a tour.
Yeah, 8 years and a certain number of months.
Right. Okay.
I had a couple of Jack and Cokes. Can't really do math right now.
No, that's fair. No, I'm just ballpark. It's fine. That's cool. So how long were you stationed in Korea? Where'd you spend most of your time stationed at?
Korea, 4 years, 1 month contiguous. So like it was just a 4-year tour. I signed up for 2 years and did a 2-year extension.
Okay.
Met my first wife there. Well, my ex-wife now.
Right. Okay.
But yeah. So we wanted to, make it a longer tour out there together. Then we went to Texas and got divorced because that's what we do in the military. We just,
Yeah, military life's rough like that.
Yeah.
I've heard stories, and it's a shame. I mean, it really is, because it's hard for a lot of people to put up with it. It's to get into it or marry into it. It's hard. So, and it's not. And so you were over here in the U.S. station for 4 more years.
Well, training took about 2 years.
Oh, so 2 years in the IT. Okay.
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty unusual, but intelligence, especially linguists.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
I had to learn Korean for 63 weeks, and then I had to learn my job for about 6.5 months. So
okay,
took about 2 years. So after 2 years, shipped off to Korea. 4 years there, went to Texas, and then separated from Texas.
Okay. Yeah, that's. See, I mean,
Texas, by the way, better than New Jersey. You can quote me on that shit.
I've seen bonuses, and I've seen
Son,
plus and minuses.
Son, there's only pluses in my. Well, the only minus is no Wawa. That is the only minus. But there's HEB, which is a great grocery store. There's no sales tax. It's the cost of living is immensely cheaper, even compared to South Jersey. We're not even living in the most expensive parts of New Jersey. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, when you move out, as you get closer to the Pine Barrens, the cost of living goes down. But so does the quality.
Oh, that's where I grew up.
You grew up in the Piney's? Where at?
Pemberton, bro.
Oh wow. Okay. You know all the good stuff from the sand and.
Dude. Yeah, that's why when I joined the Air Force, I thought I was fucking rich.
You'll pay me how much?
Yeah.
Fuck, sign me up.
Dude, it was insane.
Those carefully stationed recruiting offices, it's like, well, that is weird that there's
how
one
I got
right here.
Recruited? Fucking Air Force recruiter was a customer at my mom's dry cleaner. No shit. That's how I got recruited.
And he came in, and so, like, he talked to your mom, or did he talk to you?
Yeah, I talked to my mom because I failed college twice, and my discerning Korean mother was like, you need to do something with your life. And she was right, and joined the Air Force, got top secret clearance. Now that I just shat that all away. Now I'm on the, In Your Head podcast.
Hey, come on, man. That's not fair.
No. I'm just saying, like, I left a lucrative career behind, and that kind of sucks.
Well, what were you hoping to do after? You always see different things, like, oh, you come out of college with this degree, and they tell you can get these jobs, but they don't. It's not as easy to get those jobs as you think. Like when you come out with
the military, I could have got a job so easily. Like, and I was just a fucking dumb asshole. That's what I was when I separated. It was in 2014, about 4 years ago, and that's like the biggest mistake I ever made in my life, outside of my divorce, I think. And it's just, I don't know. It continues to follow me. I think about it every day because I had a top secret clearance with the SCI shred, which is like, and a polygraph. Like, if anyone that's even close to the IC knows what that means like instant 6 figures. I could be a janitor making like $70K with this top secret. You know what I mean? Because like, who the fuck's gonna clean up top secret facilities? You have to have a clearance.
You have to have a clearance. Yeah.
It's not like the movies. It's not like like fucking that Superman movie where what's her name, Lois Lane could just walk into any military situation. That's a bunch of shit. You need clearances. You need like approval. Right. Beforehand.
No matter what to get in the building.
You can't just hop on a chopper and follow. Like,
Yeah.
But like, I left that. Like, I pursued comedy. I went to Denver. After that, I was planning on working in the weed industry because an old buddy of mine in the military was from Colorado. He lived there. We became roommates after I separated because he was like, I could get you a job. Job never panned out. Money went away after like 7 months. I had to come back to New Jersey with my tail between my legs. And like I tried to get a job back into the intelligence community, and unfortunately my clearance had some hiccups, and like it's fucked me financially immensely. Like at a 9 year point after separating the Air Force with the top secret, I could have got 6 figures immediately in any city I wanted to work at.
Yeah.
But I had like this. I was so arrogant. I was like, I'm gonna pursue comedy. I don't give a fuck. And now I'm poor as shit. Like I'm like
well,
and this is the thing. Like you had Fox on. I keep telling him to join the Air Force because like, dude, it's you get TS, you're set for life. You just gotta keep that shit current. And my mistake was I didn't keep it current.
Yeah, and I know he. I think we both know that, or which Fox?
Andrew
Mike
Fox.
okay, because I had Mike Fox on before, who
Andrew
was
Fox
Air Force.
was Army.
Andrew?
I mean, sorry, Mike was Army.
Mike was Army. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember everybody's military backgrounds here. But yeah, Andrew always loves to tell how much he loves his job, and to put himself in a situation where he could do a little bit better would be fantastic for him. Believe me,
dude.
So.
I think they raised the age minimum. They would take care of him and his family. Like, dude, I think it's the best. He's physically fit. He could do it.
I think he'd be fine.
He just has like I don't know. He has like a problem with authority. He told me, but dude, for if you get a TS, and you don't have to be a linguist, you could like I think I should
a lot
be.
of things that would get you. The
I think I should be an independent contractor for recruiting into the military. The intelligence community is ripe. Like if you're watching this right now, you're young, and you want a new career, like look into the Air Force, look into intelligence positions, man. Like
because
you'll be set for
Air Force, any branch.
I would say Air Force because quality of life is generally better in the Air Force. Like in my career field, I didn't have to deploy ever. I never went to the sandbox in 9 years. I probably want to go in 20 the whole time. Because like with Korean linguists, with positions in intelligence that are vital, and there's like little manning with like Korean linguists, you don't deploy because there's such little manning.
Right, makes sense.
So there's like special cases like that, and recruiters don't know this shit because most recruiters are like plumbers. You know what I mean? Maintainers that were shitty at their jobs. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about, but
they can talk you into signing up.
They could talk you into signing up. Yeah.
Yeah, so that makes sense. Sorry, I got myself a little. Getting myself a little hoarse here. See, you made the decision though, and you see that from a lot of people, especially from what I've had on here, is to make that decision to make a change, especially jump into something like comedy or anything big like that in life, is to say, hey, I'm going to make a run at something different. And, it may not always pan out, but there's always, you made the jump and you chased something you wanted to chase. And a lot of people don't even do that. I mean, I have a cousin, hopefully he's going to be on one of these episodes real soon. He's opened up a new deli, restaurant / takeout / bar / and he's reopening that because his previous one had burned down in a fire, and he had bought another one in the meantime in a nearby location. Now he's finally finishing up the new one. It should be ready hopefully by the time this airs. So but he made that jump. He made a thing that's his thing. And you've told me you've done a lot in comedy. You've been around in comedy. It's not like it was something that was just like a chance. I mean, it's nice to have a 9-to-5 to back you up.
Yeah.
For sure when you're not big, but
that was my delusion, because like when I left the military, I didn't really have a lot of experience in comedy. I thought I could just not support myself per se, but like pursue this dream. I had this passion, I thought I was good, and I was like, I'm gonna make it somewhere, right? But the money doesn't lie, dude. Like it ran out quick, and and I realized that my comedy came from a very positive place where I was like kind of like settled and like comfortable, and I don't know how to really translate that into like adversity into comedy as much, you know what I
Okay.
mean?
Yeah.
So
No. Some people talk about, like who we were just speaking about, like Kyle Kinane.
mhm,
He talks about his, quote unquote, dum dum stories
yeah,
and the stuff that he does that was like, oh God, I did something stupid, and it turns into a hilarious story,
oh yeah.
and that's where it
Well,
comes from. But
Kanane's next level. Like
well,
there's like people, there's like Jordans and shit that LeBrons, you know what I mean? I'm sure I'm just using basketball analogies, but
yeah,
like
that's
there's people that luckily chose the exact path they were supposed to go down. Kanane's one of those guys. Kanane is just phenomenal.
yeah.
Like he's a genius. I
Yeah.
think.
Oh, absolutely. And that's why I've loved watching his acts.
Mm.
I'm gonna hopefully see him live in April. And it's so that was a jump that he made. But I'm sure there was a point where he had to make that decision and had to make a jump. And be like, I'm gonna start doing comedy, and maybe have passed up something else. And I think for anybody else who does that, and people have told me, like I'm a woodworker. People who've watched the channel may have seen me do the videos. I've done a pen turning video downstairs. My sister channel that I used to have, I repaired a guitar.
Ramon's
Yeah,
guitar.
exactly,
He
Ramon's
never thanked
guitar.
you for.
Yeah, well, so things like that. I do the woodworking, and it's like people have told me, oh, you should do something like this full time, or just I'm like, but that's see, you're braver than I to make the choice to do something big, to make that jump, because I just don't have the nerve to like I
Well,
do. I have my house. I've got a full-time job. I'm comfortable. I'm not wealthy, but I'm comfortable and I'm happy.
I
And
wouldn't say nerve. I would say brazen. Like that's a young person's move. You know, it's just
I mean, you can do it at any point in time. I mean,
you
any point in
can.
time I can say, "All right, I'm going to just give up. I'm going to give up my job and I'm going to open a full-time wood turning studio, and I'm going to do wood turning and videos and stuff like that." Any point in time I could do that to myself. And you know,
I'm at this point where I have to find a progression because I left my marriage and a six-figure income to try to pursue comedy, and now I'm just salty. Now I'm just bitter, right? Because like money's just run out. I gotta get a new job, but like it's just like I don't know how to get back into the game, into the mindset of being funny because I'm just so fucking like, and I wish I had like that kind of switch where I can turn my personal struggles into comedy. I think that's the next step, but like I'm not at that point. Like I've been doing it for like 7 years now almost, and I don't have the chops to like turn that into comedy yet. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
I'm cognizant of my own ability. I can turn goofy shit funny. I could turn different things that are in my life funny, but like I don't know how to make that struggle funny yet. And that's like where I have to, I think, evolve as a comic, evolve as a person, even to accept my position and the station I chose for myself.
yeah. No, I hear you, and it's tough to find a different way to outlet. I mean, I know every comedian has a different life. Everybody leads a different life. I know, being around the guys at High Note and stuff, I've talked to them, and they're like, "Oh, it's tough when you're talking to comics because most of them are going to be, real morbid, real sad comics." And it's like, which really hasn't been the truth.
Yeah, yeah.
I've actually been pleasantly surprised about that. That a lot of the guys that I've spoken with, they've been, they're pretty positive guys, and they have a pretty good outlook on
That's
things in
the
general.
thing about comics though, we like talking to people. That's why. Like you don't see us on a day to day. When we struggle with our own thoughts, that's a different thing. Like, I'm talking to you, I'm having a good time. We're talking about old times and shit, and we're getting into it. But like, I could like being a comic is almost like being a cop, being in the military. It's you're part of like this like small community. Um, and you kind of have these commonalities with each other, and I think depression is widespread. Like you're a creative person, you want to think, but like at the same time not a lot of people think like you do, so like you kind of ostracize yourself naturally, right? So it's kind of like a lonely place to be, man, unless you're around other comics or like people in the community like yourself.
Yeah.
It's a good time. We open up, we talk about shit, we have a good time. But on the day to day, I think on a lot of comics that I'm friends with, we all struggle with the same shit, like just being by ourselves. You know what I mean? But when we're in front of people, that's like a small little stage we could step on and try to crack jokes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, kind of therapy, free therapy when you
Yeah.
go out to an open mic, and
Yeah.
I've definitely heard that from from a lot of guys that it's therapeutic to go up and talk about the shit you might have been through and get it off your chest, and it does help.
I wouldn't even say talk about things. I think that's like kind of like a stereotype where you would talk about your own struggles, and that's the therapeutic angle. I think the therapeutic angle is just acceptance, right? You're going there, and if someone laughs at your shit, that's acceptance. So when someone accepts you, it doesn't matter what the fuck. You could talk about your dog in like a lame flannel T-shirt, you know what I mean, like a little doggy flannel, and make it funny. And if someone laughs at that shit, that's acceptance. You don't have to necessarily talk about your daily struggles and get into the nitty gritty of your own personal life, but like when you go up there and you barter the audience for laughs and they give you laughs, shit, that's like the best feeling.
Well, I guess I don't mean therapy as in a couch. You're on the couch talking to a therapist, but when you can get that stuff out there and you can get whether it is just talking about your dog or things like that, you can put it out there for other people to hear, and they can understand your story and where you're coming from. And no matter what it is, whether it's fun or anything, it's therapy, because that acceptance is like when you go to a therapist's office, they accept you for who you are. That's what it is.
$40 an hour, you have to accept.
Exactly. You have to accept whatever the person is. And to see that kind of thing, it's I see what you mean as far as the acceptance goes, because that's what you're looking for. And I think we all are. Because somebody said to me before, I think it may have been Kinane, who said something about, you can be lonely without being alone.
Yeah.
And I think that happens to a lot of people, comedians, anybody who struggles with depression or just the way their life might be, whether it's a grind or something like that. You can be surrounded by people all day and still be lonely as hell.
Yeah.
Without being alone. You whether you can't feel like you can open up to somebody, and to see some of the comics who do go out there and who can just finally open up and talk to people, and myself included. I mean, you probably remember me from when I first started coming out there. I was really shut in. I couldn't talk to people a lot. I know I had issues with it, and now, I'm helping run High Note. I'm on the DJ booth. I'm talking to people. I'm doing a podcast, for God's sake. I'm sending a podcast out on YouTube, to whoever wants to watch it, and that's a long way from where I was. And whether it's just a slow build from that of a little bit of stage time and just really dealing with the people, it does help. And I think I spoke with when I spoke with Fox on the previous episode, Andrew Fox, it was, it does help a lot of people. I said this, I think we said almost the same thing, was it really is good just to get out there. If you haven't done it, do it. Yeah. If you haven't been on stage, and I'll say it again, if you haven't been on stage, if you've never done an open mic, and you want to, do it. Really, just get out and try it.
But go to High Note. Like,
I mean,
like, all right, I've done comedy in Korea. I've done comedy in Denver, parts of, all around Texas, right? It's not nationwide, but like for the most part, open mics are usually the same, right? You run into like the same problems. You run into like people not listening because 90% of the audience are comics. High Note is like a different atmosphere. High Note, it's like everyone's listening, and even though they're mostly comics, it's like High Note always felt like a showcase to me, because when you're on and there's people there, which is like half of the show, like most of the crowd sticks around, it feels great, especially like when you're fresh and new and no one's heard you take on anything, and you bring some good shit. Man, it's the best. High Note's a really good place to do it.
So anybody local, come out, check it out. I know a lot of the guys that probably watch this or have seen it are watching because I know them from High Note. But anybody else who's watching or seeing this, High Note Humor in the Tap Room, like I said, I'm not paying him to say this just because I help run the room. It's a lot of good guys, and it's a really friendly atmosphere to really try to get people out and have fun. And
they run a good mic.
Thanks, I appreciate it, really.
You get good chops because you guys keep stage time. I mean, it's open mics. You run. It's like the Wild Wild West, but like High Note, you actually have to
stories.
You have to adhere to rules. You had to like adhere to your time. You had to adhere. You have to, you have to look at the light. You know what I mean? Looking at the light, that's like that'll set you up for success in comedy because you mentally know how long 5 minutes is, and when you start out, that's a really good thing to know internally. So you know when to not go over because like the last thing bookers want is someone that can't do their time and someone that goes over. They need someone to do the amount
Do your
of time.
Yeah, I think Mark Maron said that in was it This Isn't Happening. I think he did a special on Comedy Central called This Isn't Happening. It was a show, and that was exactly what he said. The guy said, "Do your time, nothing more, nothing less.
Yes,
do your time."
that is so true.
So I guess that I guess it rings true for a lot of comedians. But yeah, when you get out there, it's an interesting feeling, and to be up on stage.
I meant a lot of open mics where like when I'm brand new to a scene, I don't get anything, and everyone's friends are getting like they don't time them. They're getting like 10, 15 minutes off the top where the audience is hot, and then like I have to wait to the end, and I get literally 2 minutes, and I waited there for 3 hours.
Yeah, and there's 4 people left in the audience. Yeah, most of them are going to take down the room when it's done.
It's just be prepared to like have in your first year maybe 3 good shows. Like you have to be mentally stable enough.
Yeah, and you can't take the failure and go, oh, that's it, I'm done. You can't take that first time and go, well, this was rough. And I think every stand-up, and it is the best part of that room, and I don't know other rooms, but we've had a lot of people who go up, and they're like, hey, it's my first time. They go up, and yeah, it's great. After you're off, boom. It's still the same support. We don't just go, oh, look at this guy. It's still the same support for somebody when they go up there. And
I like the new guys because like they bring new jokes.
Yeah,
you know what I mean,
it's nice to see a new take on a lot of these looks because sometimes you see people who come back in and they've been coming back and again, and it's like the same jokes. They keep beating that horse, and it's like,
can we not talk about Tony Parlante for like?
God, let's not throw any. Can we not throw anybody under the bus here if we're doing
Tony,
this?
you're not watching, but fuck you. All right.
We're going to have to get into that later. There's some definite hostility there.
No, I'm just joking. Tony's a nice guy. But he does promote himself too much, even though for being a mediocre act. I will say that very bluntly on this podcast. But he's a nice dude. He's like a senior citizen. You know, he started comedy as like a bucket list type of thing. And he's actually making it work in the promotion side. That's another thing, too, where I think comics have to realize what they're good at. If you're good at promoting, stick with promoting. If you're good at comedy, stick with comedy. Like I had this conversation with a lot of people. It's like if you're good at making shows but not good at comedy, just like, dude, just type your loose ends. Just make shows. You know what I mean?
There's always somebody who needs to do that. There's somebody who needs to run a show. There's in any movie, you need a producer, you need a director, whatever. You need anything. So
I think Tony is a talented promoter, comedy-wise. But promoter, really good. Really good.
Well, maybe he'll start sticking to that. He'll hit it big as a promoter and start. I mean, you know, if he sees this, if not, I didn't. Tony, remember,
Tony won't watch this shit. Like, are you serious?
Well, maybe Tony watches podcasts. I don't know.
No, dude, get the fuck out.
Well, half the guys I've had on here share this podcast.
Tony probably texts like my dad with like "Love Dad" at the end. It's like it's not a fucking handwritten letter. This is an electronic transmission. You don't have to put your stamp on it anymore.
He's got PS on the bottom.
It's got like a wax stamp on the email. Like, how'd you even do that? Like, how'd you put your family crest on this email? Like, that's impossible.
Oh, man. That's tough, man. That's rough. So I'm going to geek it out a little bit. Because I am a bit of one, obviously because of the arcade cabinet that I mentioned in the videos that's hanging right over there.
Dude, come on, I knew May Machines before I met you, like 10 years ago.
I know. So I ask all my guests this. So what is your favorite video game of all time? And if it's a series, knock it to one game, but I guess you don't have to. You've already got this nailed, it looks like.
All right. The game I've sunken most single-player hours into...
Well, no, not necessarily that. It's just the game that if you sold off your console, you'd keep the disc.
I have two answers to this. All right, so I have a single player and a multiplayer.
Okay,
right?
We'll let that slide. All right.
Okay, so we'll let it go.
We'll let it go.
Single player,
it's my show.
Greatest game of all time, Final Fantasy Tactics, and fuck you forever if that's not in your at least top 3 of Final Fantasies, because obviously you never played Tactics. That shit set the bar for strategy RPGs so fucking high, and I was a strat RPG fan from Shining Force on Genesis.
Wow,
that's like 1993.
That's an oldie. Wow, yeah.
And like, I love that tile sort of like strategy gameplay where you move your guys around. It's turn based, but
Yeah.
like you had different actions you could take. Final Fantasy Tactics add like a 3-dimensional depth, like a Z axis to it. They added different abilities,
Hmm.
different classes. You could change your
Yeah.
people. Oh my god, it was so deep. I probably on my cell phone alone, I probably sank 100 hours into it. On my cell phone, on PlayStation 1 when I had it originally, I probably sank like 200 easy, and like 175 of that was on Mendalia Plains, just grinding the
Oh
shit out
man.
of my characters. On the first waypoint you get, I would be in chapter 1 for like a year, just like, grinding my characters to like level like 95. And like they would like literally not have any items till chapter 4. Like I would have to steal items from the random, like you would encounter one out of like 500 battles you would fight human characters, otherwise you'll fight like panthers and like
Just monsters. Yeah.
chocobos and shit,
Right.
like fucking like trolls, I forget what they call them. Anyway, like 1 out of 500 you get a randomly generated like battle against random human characters, and I would have to have everyone. I had everyone with secondary characteristics of stealing shit, just in case I would run into a 1 out of 500 like chance battle where I could steal items from the human guys that I would need because I had such advanced classes that I couldn't even use those like classes at all until I
Yeah.
stole the items.
So it just turned into this like grifter party.
Dude, it was a grind fest. Like, I don't know how I never played MMORPGs. I know like they're all about grinding. Like, I think I would have really excelled and threw my life away if I went to MMORPGs.
You wouldn't be talking to me here. You would have been
No.
one of those stories where Paul Smith dies on his computer after 12 straight
Yeah.
days on his computer of not leaving the house and not getting out of his chair.
Yeah, at least I would have lost like 40 pounds. You know what I mean?
You lose a lot more than that usually.
Yeah.
Those guys are pretty much nothing when they
Yeah.
die in there. So then I guess if I assumed that your favorite multiplayer game was StarCraft, you'd probably yell at me, but I didn't think you were a big
Never played
StarCraft fan.
StarCraft. Was never a fan of RTSs.
Okay.
My original love was Counter-Strike. Back early, no, late beta and early release 1.0. We're talking like 2001.
Okay.
That was my first love into online game was Counter-Strike. I love FPSs. I still have decent chops in FPSs because of Counter-Strike. Because I failed college twice because of Counter-Strike. Like I couldn't focus on shit. But
Counter-Strike.
my favorite multiplayer game of all time probably is League of Legends. Like,
Okay.
even though it's not really talked about, it's probably the biggest esports title outside of Counter-Strike.
CS:GO, yeah.
Yeah, CS:GO, Global Offensive, right? And I think there's another title, like maybe Dota 2 at times, but like,
Yeah, that's whatever. I
League
mean,
of Legends is the deepest community in online scene. Oh, PUBG is actually making a fucking huge name for itself nowadays.
yes, it is. It's overtaking Twitch, something fierce.
Yeah.
And honestly, I like the way that that's built. I don't play it, but the idea of it, I think I like.
Yeah,
you
the
know?
battle royale type of like.
Yeah, you've just got this
King of
whole
the Hill.
world to. Yeah, you got this whole world to go explore on.
It's
and
like 12 by 12 kilometers, real
it's
space.
fucking gigantic.
Yeah.
It is a gigantic map, which is something because we're so used to like multiplayer maps. It's like, oh, let's look at a Halo map, and it's like the size of my goddamn living room.
Yeah.
There's like 9 people fighting in a room the size of this little living room, and that's what it feels like. And then you go, oh, let's go play PUBG, and you're like, oh, I haven't seen anybody for 5 fucking minutes.
It's like you're like literally FPSing in Burlington County. You're like driving around.
Yeah,
you're on 295 trying to kill someone. You know?
Yeah, imagine a county that you live in, and now you've got to go hunt down one of 64 people. That's how crazy this whole
Yeah.
game is, and it
PUBG
is.
is pretty nuts. I haven't played it myself, but like, my original loves were FPSs. Now I like MOBAs. It's League of Legends is something fierce, dude. Like, because
Yeah.
like it's a steep learning curve, not as steep as Dota's, but like
That's
once
probably
you,
why I never got into it.
dude, once you learn everything, it's like I watch all the pro games on the weekends. Like, there's a pro scene.
Oh
I
yeah.
follow like the community, even though the community is 20 years younger than me, literally 20 years. They're like teenagers. I
Yeah.
still like. I love this game. This game is like it's overtaken all of my gaming. Like I don't play any games I bought. You know, I played Doom for like maybe 3 checkpoints, and I was like, "Fuck, I'm playing League." You know what I mean? Like Doom is great, by the way. The Vulcan, like, oh my god, it runs so smooth on like pretty much any hardware.
Yeah, there's a lot of great games out. I wish I played more. My see now I'm going to admit I've gotten kind of pulled into a game recently.
What is it,
Not a
bro?
big game, Path of Exile. If you've heard of
Okay,
it,
I've heard that. That's like a Diablo style game,
it's a
right?
Diablo style game.
Isometric
It's
dungeon crawler.
yeah, it's free to play. Believe it or
Yeah.
not, it's free to play. So if you've never gotten it, it's free to play. They survive on microtransactions. So you get like a stash box. This is where they make their money, unless you want vanity stuff, which doesn't appeal to me. But you have a stash box which has so much. You know, it's this by this for stuff. You get like 4 tabs. Well, do you want more tabs? You can pay us a little bit. And honestly, it's reasonable. Like if you were gonna chip in, I'd say you throw $5, maybe $10 at it, and you got all the stash you're gonna need for probably ever. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. So for $10, I can do all this. So it's not a bad game, but I know how the microtransactions get people,
Oh,
and
it
seeing
does.
the way that is, and it's like,
It
oh,
does.
I'm
Because
gonna.
like
Oh.
you rationalize it in your head, like, oh, I usually pay $40 for a title, right? So
Yeah.
like I'll spend $10. It's like a 1/4 of a value, even though I
Yeah.
play this game. It's just like, and it kind of like you kind of keep going back to the well.
Right.
You know
Well,
what I mean?
I fortunately played it for. Yeah, I'm sorry if anybody from Path of Exile is watching this, but I've never actually paid any money into it yet. So I mean, I know I have the will to not just blow all the money into it, which is good. But I know the people who get into it. You see them walking around and they're covered in all these vanity items. I'm like, this poor bastard is spending all his
Well,
money on this game.
The thing also, League of Legends is free to play, so you
Yeah.
could download it right now. The thing is, you have to grind forever to get like the characters, right?
Yeah.
Like I think I bought like a starter pack which gave me like 20 or 30 characters or some shit. Which is like $5 or $10, but like they're like the one of the biggest gaming companies. It's called Riot Games,
Right.
plural.
Yeah.
They have one game, which is League of Legends. Like
Hey, man, if you hit the lottery like that and come out with a game that big, why
Dude,
why
I
make
would
anything else?
I just want to interview with them. It's like I would change everything we do. I would change our name to Riot Game. Like it is one game, but like
let everything else go. You're doing fine.
Yeah.
Just take that S off and we're cool.
you could pay me $100K a year, but I'll be like every year I'll just present the argument. We should be called Riot Game.
Are we keeping the name the same? Yeah, cool.
All right.
All right. That's it.
Yeah, like my paycheck tomorrow.
Yeah,
Thank you.
sign that
No, but it's phenomenal. It's multi-billions now. It's like
Oh yeah.
it's all microtransactions. There's people buying champs, or like you gotta buy Riot points. They call it. It's like a conversion of real money into their point system,
Right.
which buys you champions, which they call characters, which most people call heroes because of Blizzard
Heroes
brainwashing.
of the Storm, right?
Yeah, but well, that's what Blizzard has been calling their characters for forever in every title, heroes. But I that sounded real bitter, like a League of Legends player. Like fuck you, Blizzard.
You're gonna watch this when it airs. You're gonna be like, man, I'm fucking angry as hell. What did I do? What did I ever do to
like-
Blizzard?
It's because I talked about League of Legends. The salt levels in me rose because that's a fucking bitter game, dude. It really is.
Can get that way, and I've never played the game. There's a video that's circulating. There, it's hilarious. It's an animated video that somebody did. That's like, oh, here's a basic explanation to League of Legends, and it's funny as fuck because it's just this cartoon, and it shows like, here's what League of Legends is like, and it shows like, oh, if you have friends, and it's like it shows how just everybody fucks everybody else up, and you blame your friends, and it's like, but if
Oh,
you don't
yeah.
have friends, you can play with bots, and there's 4 assholes running into nowhere,
Oh,
and
God.
it's just hilarious how it's like, and look at the excitement, and then all it is just the guy finger clicking a mouse, and it's like, look at the excitement, and it's just so exciting, this game. So it's a great video that really breaks
So-
down, but I have no idea how to play this goddamn game. There's way too much going on and way too much to explain in one podcast for sure. But
League
it's,
of Legends
it's something.
is literally chasing the dragon. That's an old drug term,
Yeah.
right? Or like ringing your bell, right? So like the first hit of like H or heroin is usually what you're chasing. It's called chasing the dragon. You're trying to emulate the first hit of heroin you get, which is like the most blissful, right? That's why heroin addicts just keep going back is because they're chasing that dragon, chasing some imaginary milestone that they're never going to achieve again. League of Legends is literally like that because it's a game designed with teamwork in mind, right? But 1 out of 10 games, you're going to hard carry the fuck out of it. Like, you're going to hard carry and, like, you're going to get, like, 17 kills, be so much far ahead of the enemy team opponent that there's nothing the enemy team can do, and you're chasing that dragon.
You want that back again. Yeah.
But the 9 out of 10 games, you're tilting your head off because you're not even getting close to what you once were in this past game.
I didn't realize that game was that much of a pull. Holy shit.
It's fucking nuts.
God damn.